Nice! What a rush! Oh, nice! Oh, nice! Oh, nice! What a rush! Yeah, that's it!
Everyone says I should document my game development journey, but a big reason I haven't is because it would take time away from game development. But 1 year removed from the Kickstarter, and I think it's a good time to share some of that stuff, the stuff on screen. Borrowing heavily from The World Ends With You and similar stories, the game uses spiritual connections as a means of telling a story about the need to connect and help others. I could use all these big words, and talk about themes, but at its core, that's where it is. The story is told from the perspective of Fiona and Trey. Fiona, who ran a soup kitchen that shut down, and Trey, who sometimes stops by. Fiona Soul is a really weak play on Fiery Soul, and Trey is named after the guy from Black Jesus. There are other characters, but for now, they're the really important ones. Nixie is Fiona's family recipe that lets you travel to the spiritual realm at will. The spiritual realm is basically just the underground from The World Ends With You. In the real realm, you can see people. In the spiritual realm, you can see people and spirits, but people in the real realm can't see you. After getting their obligatory game powers, they found out that there's a war going on for spiritual territory. And after seeing what it does to people, they decide to get involved and claim territory for themselves. It's basically just a gang war of spirits. Think San Andreas. That's Nixie, but what's the actual gameplay loop? The story jumps between cutscene dialogue, fighting off spirits, and races. The red triangle Fiona holds is actually a propaganda machine. The faster and more stylishly she rides... Pause. What? Let's run that back. The faster and more stylishly she races, the more people catch wind of her ideas. You can enter people's minds and see their demons, and using Trey and Fiona, you can fight them off in unique ways. When you do this, you basically free them from bad vibes, and you increase your influence meter. The more influence you have, the more control over the territory you have. The goal by the end is to at least fill the bar to 50% to fight the boss of the area. Only by doing this can you take back the territory and learn more about what's going on in the shadows. That wasn't too bad. You know what I mean? That wasn't too... I'm trying to make it all brief and abridged. It's working. All right. From a gameplay perspective, the game draws influence from The World Ends With You and Sonic Riders. The World Ends With You with its imprinting mechanics, fighting noise and trends, that last one specifically is really important because the game is set in the UK. And depicting black UK culture tastefully through music and dialect is really important to me. We see a lot of New York City and Shibuya, so why not run up the shard? The enemy designs are based off mythological African creatures. Ades is a firefly that possesses humans, and the were hyena does a lot, to be honest. Taylor kind of went crazy. Sonic Riders is where the hoverboard mechanics come in. It's my favorite racing game, and translating it into 2D was kind of a challenge, but I've been enjoying it. Once I made the gravity system and the ranking system for tricks, it started to come together a little more. More on that, from an art style perspective, this takes influence from a few different things. The Boondocks is a very obvious comparison, but only in select areas. I think it'd be disingenuous to say this is kind of like a Boondocks thing, if that makes sense. It's just got black anime characters, you know, in an Eastern style. And maybe just one of the characters, maybe Trey, maybe a bit of Trey. Alright. No, the idea of being on the move is borrowed from Michiko and Hatchet. In fact, Fiona's design is lifted from episode 6 of the show. I would still say that Ghost Trick and The World Ends With You are the biggest influences on the character designs. This more chibi style that you see sometimes is inspired by Avatar. Avatar's chibi shorts to kind of help detach it from the main campaign. The idea is to have these unlockable comic strips throughout the game that play during loading screens. Think Danganronpa or River City Girls. And the red hoverboard, some of the UI takes influence from constructivism. I'm very far left politically, and there's this art movement called constructivism, which is made up of a lot of diagonal shapes, a lot of angular diagonal shapes. One of the most influential pieces being this piece called Beat the Whites with the Red Wedge. It doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean what you think it means. And that's why Fiona's board is a red wedge, and why it's a propaganda machine. So what are some lessons? What did I learn? For starters, you have to learn to be more patient. Game development is about the little victories. You have to nail down the foundations of what you want before you can do anything big. Doing the ranking system and setting up the UI was easy, but nailing down control and creating a gravity system was really hard. Making the text box was easy, but making them work so they could be changed and not clog up by hierarchy was really hard because it's just going to slow down the game, right? It's going to, yeah. Contacting artists is easy. finding the time and money to license music is hard. Things will take time, and you should be ready to embrace that. Black characters need bright backgrounds and bright outfits to stand out in pixel art. I have 2 dark-skinned main characters, not even light-skinned black, just dark-skinned. And as a result, when wearing darker outfits, it's harder to make them pop out. With Fiona, the solution was to make brighter backgrounds and play more of the golden handcuff. And with Trey, it was to give him this green ghost effect with the telekinetic turntable. You can make your characters wear what you want, but definitely keep in mind how they'll pop out to the player. Last thing, but let art kind of grow and express itself. Something I try to do is let everyone I work with communicate their style. Whether it's the music, animation, or artwork, one of my favorite things about Eastern animation style is, if you're perceptive, you can tell who animated what section, depending on, if it was corrected. And sometimes even still, sometimes you can still do it. It's kind of like a calling card. While there are rules, for the most part, I like that. I like letting the vision grow and evolve depending on who I work with and what they bring to the table. I like to believe this is part of what makes a project fun to work on. I think the characters are cute and interpreting them is fun, This kind of bleeds into my final comment. And it's not being rigid and allowing things to change organically. There are ideas that I went with initially that I didn't end up committing to, or they didn't work out. Not everything worked out, and the story wasn't even properly written or in writing until earlier this year. Because it would be kind of a waste of time to try and spend all this time figuring out the story without having nailed down the gameplay or the programming aspect of things first. And just as some ideas didn't work out, some of the new ideas I'm a really big fan of. Anyway, that's kind of pretty much my update. Follow on social media if you want to stay in the loop on things, and there's gonna be a cartoon call for voice acting very soon, so I'd say stay on the lookout. Thank you so much for your time. New videos soon. We pray that tomorrow will be better than today. Power to the people. Peace.